Culiacan is the largest and richest city in Sinaloa. More than 500,000 people live here. There are no official statistics showing exactly how many work in the illegal narcotics business. But we do know for sure that many Sinaloa drug cartel members have made Culiacan their home. According to the CIA, it's the world's most powerful drug syndicate. Mexican drug gangs gained power after the Colombian cartels were overthrown in the early 90s. Since then, the Mexicans have controlled the whole drug supply chain from the plantations in South America all the way through Mexico's mountains to the dealers on US streets. Some say it was the enterprising spirit of the Sinaloa drug cartel that turned America into the world's primary cocaine and marijuana consumer. It's estimated that between them, the Mexican cartels make at least $20 to $30 billion a year from the USA.
Y así como lo oyen desde Culiacán, Sinaloa, México. Un saludo para el mundo.
This man was just 14 when he turned to crime. He was wanted for murder, so his grandmother gave him money and he went on the run. He joined a drug gang and over many years worked his way up to a senior role. That's all in the past now. He's asked us not to reveal his real name.
¿Hay algo que te arrepientes de algo? ¿Te arrepientes de...?
De nada me arrepiento. Lo que hice, lo hice y... ¿Me entiendes?
¿Pudieras cambiar algo? ¿Lo harías?
Si pudiera cambiar algo, wow. Sí, mi hija.
¿Qué pasó con tu hija?
Murió mi hija.
Oh, lo siento. ¿Qué edad tenía?
Tenía 12 años.
A gang staged the fatal car accident that killed this man's daughter. Somehow his wife survived, but it was his car, and he was the real target. Back then he was a self-styled king of the hill. He had money, influence, property, and a family. Now he is alone, but thanks God every day that he is still alive.
La mafia es dura. Te da y te quita. Sí. Te quita tu familia, te da dinero, agarras problemas.
For more than a century, the night of May 2nd has been special in Culiacan. The police remain vigilant, but there isn't usually any trouble. The people of Sinaloa say Jesús Malverde himself maintains order on this day. He's a local saint. For his believers, the evening has a similar feel to the night before Christmas. It's not a birth that they commemorate so enthusiastically, but the saint's death. No one knows his exact date of birth. He was around 38 when he died, or more accurately, was executed. There is now a chapel in the town center, marking the spot where he died. It was funded exclusively by his faithful followers. There were almost certainly drug lords among them, because the law, of course, didn't see Jesús Malverde as a saint. Legend has it that he took money from the rich and gave it to the poor.
Jesús Malverde is known by several nicknames. The drug saint, the Mexico's Robin Hood, the generous bandit, the angel of the poor, and the king of Sinaloa. But was he even real? There is very little in the historical records to support that Jesús Malverde even existed. But people believe in him. There are hundreds of thousands of followers here in Mexico who come to this temple and they pray and they ask for help. And many of these people receive what they need, they receive what they ask for.
Pilgrims come to Culiacan from all over the country. Many later say they've experienced miracles and return to thank the saint and ask for his help again.
Can you explain, please, what Jesús Malverde means to you?
Lo que pasa es que hemos tenido muchos problemas en la casa y desde que empezamos a creer y dar toda la fe con Malverde, así que la vida se nos ha hecho un poquito más fácil para todo. Venimos del Estado de México. Desde el Estado de México venimos, ya llevamos 6 años viniendo para acá. Lo que pasa que yo, el primer año que vine, quise pedirle mucho, todo lo de mi familia y todo eso, y yo le prometí que me iba a tatuar su imagen. Y desde ahí le pido mucho a él. Y lo quisiera traer así hasta la muerte.
I was just filming Jesus on the cross, and even though Jesús Malverde is not recognized by Catholic Church, he is treated like a saint here in Culiacan. And it is a shrine, it is a temple. People come with candles, you see portraits of Jesús Malverde everywhere, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like a regular temple. It's very relaxed, it's very free atmosphere. Some come with their dogs. It's just strange, being used to other type of churches and temples. I'm confused, but at the same time, I feel comfortable.
It's so relaxed in the chapel that some even drink beer at the altar and lean on the Virgin Mary. It's perfectly acceptable here. And that isn't just anyone following the local example. According to his ID, he is an elected member of Mexico's Congress. He's been a regular helper here for many years. Jesus Sevilla says he looks on Malverde as a member of his family, like a mother or father.
Malverde fue como tú o como yo. Malverde reía, Malverde lloraba. Quizá Cristo era otra cosa, pero Malverde es una fiesta. Malverde dio su vida por la gente pobre. Celebramos al hombre, al humano, al que dio por los más desprotegidos. Nosotros lo celebramos con música, nosotros lo celebramos con bebida. ¿Por qué? Porque era como tú, como tú, como tú, como yo.
Okay, that's the cemetery.
That's a cemetery. That's a cemetery where many drug lords were buried.
Yes.
Buried.
It's called Jardines del Humaya.
What is it called?
Jardines del Humaya. See a sign there? People are buried here after being killed or executed. I believe, this is a personal opinion, many times the family know where his relative, wife, son, husband, whatever you want to name it, what is into. And they do nothing. They just do nothing. And that's why this psychologist told me the bigger the tomb, the bigger the guilt. I mean, this is huge. You see the alarm sign over there, has air conditioner, has the bulletproof glass. You know, any family that is capable of building this kind of tomb, they do have money and they do have power.
What's this? Is it the parking lot?
Yeah, that's the parking lot.
Wow.
And it belongs to this grave right here.
So it even has its own parking lot.
And you can fit easily at least 10 cars here, 10 cars, maybe, well, let's say 8 cars here. So that gives you an idea. Now, do you know how much is each load so you can bury your loved ones? Like a load is like that tiny thing. It's about $7,000, more or less. Each one of those.
Just a lot.
Just one single space. Like you see that little thing? That's
Yeah.
one space. So can you try to picture?
And it costs about $7,000 just to bury someone here.
Come here. Like one of those, just one. You see that? That's like let's say 6,000. 6,000. So try to picture how many spaces like this they have to buy to have this, the whole property. Mm-hmm. Do the math.
Bochorama's work reflects the less violent side of drug culture. He writes and sings ballads called corridos. Here's his latest hit, Culiacan, capital of contraband.
Yo vivo en la capital del contrabando y Culiacán se conoce donde quiera. Yo sé cómo corre el agua aquí en las calles, conozco sus territorios y fronteras. Todos saben que para agarrar billetes tienes que rolarte entre la quemadera. Yo recuerdo pues, las primeras tocadas que tenía, ya empecé a ganar dinero. Si yo canto canciones en inglés aquí en Culiacán, pues la gente no se va a interesar en mi música. Y si yo desde chico no me interesó lo que es meterme en narcotráfico, yo siento que ya a esta altura de mi vida ya es más difícil porque ya... Yo pienso que más que nada son los principios que te enseñan en tu casa. ¿Listo? ¿Cerrando? Desde niño yo he escuchado que balazos o levantaron a una pobre criatura.
It's traditional among local drug dealers to commission a personal corrido to be sung at celebrations with friends. They can be sung at funerals too, to commemorate the subject's achievements, which might even be embellished a little. A habit that narcocorridos actually encourages.
El sicario.
El Sicario.
Yeah.
And how much people do you usually pay for corrido?
Es que también dependiendo del grupo puede ser $2,000, $5,000, $1,000. Dependiendo, por ejemplo, si te lo graban los Tucanes, te van a cobrar unos $20,000.
Can it cost $50?
$50 dice. Para 2 letras nomás.
Only 2 words.
Only 2 words?
Para eso nomás.
The young men who lie in this extravagant mausoleum could probably have afforded several songs about them. Their niece Julissa lets us in. She doesn't have much time for narcocorridos, but admits that they are popular. The family takes it in turns to tend to the mausoleum. It's Julissa's turn today.
Do you think that men who have a lot of power and money, like many people who deal with narco-trafficking, are they attractive in any way?
La mayoría no mujeres, yo no. Yo espero algo mejor para mí en la vida, así de que a los días me dura el marido unos días, unos meses o unos años y ya se muera. No. No, yo no me siento atraída por ese tipo de hombres.
There is always something being built here at the Jardines del Humaya cemetery. Like in a small city, new blocks appear constantly. There is plenty of work for the laborers here, even if they do complain about low wages.
Did you ever think about becoming a drug lord yourself or being involved in drug trafficking business? Probably you could get much more money than just doing construction work here, right? Than just building graves for those dead drug lords.
Pues sí, si hubiera manera así, dejamos aquí esto y pues agarramos billetes. Y sí, pero pues hay más billetes que aquí. Ahí agarras diario, aquí no, aquí llega la semana y lo agarras. Y allá en otro trabajo pero lo voy a agarrar diario. Pero va a llegar la muerte y te va a llevar.
This neighborhood is called Los Pinos, the Pines. And this is where I was raised. And this is the house where I was born. Yeah, we used to play soccer and against the kid from the other street, which is street number 12. This is street number 13. And one of the kids that I used to play soccer against became a drug lord. It's very ironic because a drug lord, come on, I became a journalist, I'm a filmmaker, and he became a drug lord. I mean, how ironic. If we only knew, when you're a kid, if you only knew what's going to be of your life. Then when he was one of the most wanted men in the world, right?
Well,
They were my neighbors.
¿Cómo estás,
Ahora,
Miguel
¿cómo
Ángel?
estás?
Ya vi el documental, muchas gracias.
¿Cuál documental?
El de David salió en Río 12.
And you know, the bottom line, it's, you know, because I have a family that could lead me in the right direction. He didn't have any parents. His father was killed when he was 13 years old, so he became an orphan. But you know, there was no one that could lead him, and that's what happened.
So there are some young kids in the cartels as well? How young do they start?
It's real that sometimes when they are 13, 14 years old, they start as punteros, which means they'll be washing, you know, they're gonna stay in one single spot, watching that, you know, whenever the Marines or the soldiers just pass by, they are gonna, you know, the Marines going in that direction.
Yeah.
So that's usually when they start, then they move as a pistoleros, sicarios, which is like a gunman, and then they start, you know, moving drugs. So it's different steps in the chart of the organization of the Sinaloa cartel.
We don't know how this boy died, but he was only 16. Jardines del Umaya is known locally as the narco cemetery. It's where a lot of very young men are buried. That's no surprise to anyone around here. About 500 people a year are interred in this prestigious cemetery alone. For many, drug trafficking was their main occupation, but nobody talks about that openly. It's illegal after all. If the deceased had a drug trafficking connection, a corridos ballad is one way to share his story regardless of criminal activity. Many songs have been written about Jesús Malverde. They are largely what made him a folk hero, comparable to Robin Hood. Locals often turn to Jesús Malverde when they want to pray for anyone still alive but involved in the drugs business. The legend says he'll help anyone who believes, no matter what they do for a living. That is why Mexicans adore Jesús Malverde.
Do you know Jesús Malverde and do you believe in him?
Sí, creo muy bien. Creo en Dios y Dios dice que no debo de creer en los santos.
Pero
No me van a ser santos. Porque una vez llevaba heroína a Nueva York, que te dije.
a Nueva York.
Sí, y eso dije. Solo Malverde milagroso me salva de esta. Y eso dije, solo Malverde milagroso me salva de esta situación. Porque tenía heroína conmigo en el carro, heroína blanca. Y no la hallaron, pero los perros la golían. Los perros la golían y ellos no la sacaron.
The main celebration of Jesús Malverde is on the 3rd of May. Some start to worship him early in the morning, just after the night's prayers and festivities. After napping for an hour or two, they are ready to carry on. Towards noon, the streets surrounding Jesús Malverde's temple in Culiacan are packed with thousands, and a celebratory procession to honor the saint begins.
Followers of Jesús Malverde believe that everyone has the right to be happy, and whatever makes you feel happy, that's fine with Jesús Malverde. If you like to drink whiskey, you see, that's absolutely fine. You can just pour it first on Jesús Malverde's head, and then share with others, because it brings joy and happiness. Mezcal. This is mezcal, a traditional Mexican drink. Okay, Jesús Malverde? Ah, gracias. Smoking weed or marijuana also makes many people feel good, happy, but it doesn't mean that everyone here is somehow connected to narco trafficking, drug trafficking. No, it's just part of local culture.
Traditionally, Jesús Malverde gets the first talk. It's an important local ritual. Marijuana isn't legal in Sinaloa, but no one is jailed for possessing a small quantity, especially on a public holiday, least of all on the favorite Saint's Day. A little whiskey and marijuana here is like a shot of rum to a seasoned sailor, a small gesture of affinity with those who believe in bad guys with good hearts.
Más antes ellos venían, ellos fueron los que iniciaron el tráfico. Y yo me acuerdo cuando estaba chiquito que ellos venían con sus mujeres y compraban aquí y ellos la llevaban. Cuando empezaron a pegarle gritos porque estaban mucho llevando marihuana, empezaron a poner revisiones.
Yeah, we're supposed to meet our contact right here. Where are we?
This is a little village just outside Culiacan, going into the mountains, and it's a very well-controlled area. There are punteros everywhere because, you know, very powerful people live here. And I'm just going to say hi to the men on the little store there. It's a grocery store. So I'm just going to say hi because if we are just staying inside the car, they're gonna look, you know, these people looks very suspicious. So they might come after us and ask questions.
We've been asked not to reveal where we're going next, or even mention the village where this man lives. By local standards, it's a large and affluent settlement. The village has electricity and a nearby school. You can only get further into the mountains in a serious off-road vehicle, and there is no electricity to be found anywhere. Locals say there are almost no legal jobs here, so growing marijuana or poppies is normal. In Sinaloa, opium from local poppies was first produced in the late 19th century. It was legal then, and supplied the same market that it does now, the USA.
That's good, man.
So this is the guy. This is the guy who lives here, the one who grows.
These people have a car, a quad bike, a motorcycle, and many other things that regular farmers can rarely afford.
He's kind of looking for a hood because he's going to cover his face. He doesn't want to show his face.
This family, like many others nearby, has grown marijuana for more than a decade. Sinaloa produces literally thousands of tons of illegal drugs each year. Marijuana fields are usually hidden in hard-to-reach areas, often controlled by watching guards, called punteros. The cartel appoints a local supervisor who grants peasants permission to grow weed. The skills and rights to grow the crop are often passed down from father to son. This guy started helping his father when he was just 10. Now, 28, he has 2 kids of his own. His dream is to quit drugs and open a car repair shop, a legal business he can pass on to his children. To do that, he needs startup capital, and he hasn't been able to save enough so far.
Ellos quieren saber, aquí tenías sembrado todo de marihuana, todo esto.
Todo marihuana tenía sembrado aquí. Nomás que como le dije, los militares vinieron y la tumbaron. Lo que es todo lo limpio que se mira era marihuana.
¿Vinieron qué? ¿En un helicóptero o en camiones?
Vinieron primero en helicóptero y de ahí mandaron en auto, pues en camiones y eso.
Losing his crop to the army didn't just take away this guy's income. He still had to pay for his new irrigation system that had been destroyed. Even so, despite the very real risk of losing his crop again, he won't stop growing weed. It's still more profitable than being a regular farmer.
Can you tell please why you grow marijuana and not tomatoes, let's say, or corn or something else? Why do you prefer this type of farming?
Lo que pasa es que sí, el tomate y lo que es el maíz, pues sí está muy bien, también lo sembramos, pero si una tonelada de maíz, vamos a suponer que valga 20,000 pesos y se pega un tironón cajeta uno, y lo que pasa es que pues, y con los 20,000 pesos, con 30, 40 kilitos de marihuana, pues los cosecha uno y la putiza se le evita. ¿Sí me entiendes? Esa es la razón de que uno siembra la matita, porque cualquier cosita. Y aquí pues usted sabe bien que pues de comprar un kilo de tomate, mejor te compran un puño de marihuana.
Marijuana used to cost more in Sinaloa, and that made growing it even more profitable. After cannabis was legalized in some American states, cultivating it became legal too. However, the drug dealers' losses are nothing compared to the farmers. The price for locally grown marijuana is 260 times less than the average price offered by legal sellers in America. In the US, a kilo sells for $7,000. Here it makes just 27.
They do it because they have a need, and most times the government knows what they do, and they do nothing, because in a way they deep inside know well that they are not doing their job to provide, you know, a new industry to generate jobs for them. So basically, it's like an open secret. They all know it's like a game. In the end, it's just like a game. It seems like, to me, it seems like they're playing a game. They're playing to chase these people, and these people are playing to hide from them. And in the end, everyone gets away with it. You know what I mean?
Teníamos, fíjate, todo eso, y estaba palabrado, ¿eh? Por el general, pero cuando iban a llevar el dinero para pagar el gobierno, tenían que llevar en un marquís por el desierto y un helicóptero iba a recoger el dinero. Y el pinche marquís se ponchó y no llevaban extra. Los mataron por pendejos. ¿Cómo vas a llevar una fortuna en un carro que no tiene?
¿Cuánto dinero llevan?
Alrededor de $1,5 million.
The government's widespread and popularity dates back to Jesús Malverde's time. The bad guys are often seen as perfectly okay. They live next door, you knew them as kids, and when drug lords make money, they often help their friends and neighbors, and even the town. We were told of drug lords providing electricity, building roads, and throwing public parties. Esteban Sanchez is one of many thankful volunteers helping with Jesús Malverde's parade. Esteban was once a politician, but no good came of it. He lost everything: career, home, and family. In fact, he was lucky to stay alive. He believes that Malverde alone helped him to get back on his feet. Esteban found joy and purpose in his new job, as a clown. He says it's much safer than being a high official or drug lord. It may mean less money and attention from the ladies, but clowns certainly live longer.
Desgraciadamente, pues también la gente de la sierra piden milagros, piden apoyo, piden ayuda y se les llega, pues, y se les dan los milagros, tanto a muy necesitados como a gente serrana. Y la gente serrana pues pide los cultivos, pide las hierbas que crezcan, los ganados que se les logren. Y pues o sea, no es tan pegado a lo que es el narcotráfico, pues. Es más pegado hacia la gente pobre, la gente necesitada que pide con mucha fe y la abundancia lo que es Malverde.
We are now heading for the small town of Kosala. A few months ago, over 1,000 refugees from the Sinaloa highlands traveled there. They'd been forced out by the ongoing conflict between government forces and the drug cartels.
I mean, I had this friend of mine, he was a journalist. He was doing his job, you know, doing investigation and all that. He was a very passionate guy. And he published some reports. He had this warning. And he kept doing, and then someone told him, you're done, man. They're coming after you. So he ran away. He moved to another city. He moved to the city of Hermosillo, which is, going north. And he started doing the same thing. And this time, people just got to him. And we never saw him again. He was disappeared. He was killed, and then he was burned, and the ashes were just spread all over. So there was no sign. And that's just an example of what it's like being a journalist here, having first-hand information, and then you have to censorship yourself.
Era como 250 familias. Después, 250, sí, como 250 familias la que
250 familias.
Sí, estuvieron aquí.
Pero miles de personas. O sea, familias fueron varias, pero...
250 familias,
y unas...
de unas 6 integrantes por familia.
O sea, como 2,000 personas.
Sí, más o menos.
Fewer than 10,000 live in the small town of Kosala, so housing another 1,000 is a challenge. Many left behind everything they owned. They are now trying to rebuild their lives and getting no help from the government. The mayor's office couldn't explain why so many people suddenly left their villages and flooded the town, or what they were supposed to do next. Most refused to appear on camera talking about why they had escaped. They were too scared. Off camera, many said they had run away from Special Forces helicopters that appeared out of nowhere, apparently searching for a notorious drug lord who may have been hiding in any one of their homes.
Me llamo Lorena, tengo 21 años. Y pues fue muy duro, porque con la niña tiene 3 años y cuando salí pues yo la traigo en brazos. Fue algo de repente, de que llegaron así y yo nada más tuve que salir con la pura niña, sin comida, sin nada. Y donde se nos hacía noche, ahí dormir y venir escondiéndonos de los helicópteros y avionetas, porque si nos veían pues ahí mandaban el helicóptero, la avioneta.
Y les disparaban.
Pero la verdad hasta ahorita no sabemos nada, porque estuvieron mucha gente, pues toda la gente de los demás ranchos perdió todo. Hasta ahorita no se ha podido tener una respuesta de nada, como los animales y todo eso. Y mucha gente anduvo en Culiacán y todo eso, queriendo tener una respuesta, así con gente allá de derechos humanos y todo eso, pues sí, querer tener una respuesta por qué hicieron eso, pero pues hasta ahorita no se sabe nada. O simplemente que paguen los daños y los animales que se han comido, porque hasta ahorita pues son la mayoría de las vacas y todo ya se comieron. De perdida para que paguen eso y por qué lo hicieron, pero pues nadie ha querido dar la cara por eso. Y no se sabe por qué.
Sí, señor, yo sé que vino usted aquí desde ayer, usted ya dijo que viene de la sierra.
Jesús Malverde's Memorial Day is almost over. They say he died 107 years ago, but with each passing year, ever more people believe in his miraculous powers. The grateful give money to the church, which then distributes it amongst those in the most need. Even though some donors prefer to remain anonymous, people still know who their benefactors are.
This gentleman just got his free food from Jesús Malverde. The thing is that poverty always remained the biggest problem here in Sinaloa and in Mexico in general. And Jesús Malverde was called the generous bandit. He was taking money from the rich and giving them to the poor. So even after hundreds of years, this tradition remains the same. Poor people at the end of celebration can get their free meal.
Sí, señor, yo sé que vino usted aquí desde ayer, usted ya dijo que viene de la sierra.
Jesús Malverde's Memorial Day is almost over. They say he died 107 years ago, but with each passing year, ever more people believe in his miraculous powers. The grateful give money to the church, which then distributes it amongst those in the most need. Even though some donors prefer to remain anonymous, people still know who their benefactors are.
This gentleman just got his free food from Jesús Malverde. The thing is that poverty always remained the biggest problem here in Sinaloa and in Mexico in general. And Jesús Malverde was called the generous bandit. He was taking money from the rich and giving them to the poor. So even after hundreds of years, this tradition remains the same. Poor people at the end of celebration can get their free meal and some food they can take home, like this gentleman over here.
Gracias por venir a México. Tú, gracias por estar aquí.
Rusia, Mexico.
Rusia, México.
Yeah, that's it.
Malverde.
The Jesús Malverde celebration had been an exciting day, but it was nowhere near as dramatic as what happened in Kosala. It was late by the time we'd finished talking to people who'd fled their highland villages because of the special forces. The sun was setting, the weather was beautiful, and we wanted to film the seemingly idyllic Kosala before leaving the ancient little town. Suddenly, armed men appeared from an alleyway. Most wore black and looked very determined. We later learned that they were security guards working for the drug cartel. They took our papers and equipment. It took some explaining and a few phone calls, but we did get everything back. Stanislav, our cameraman, suffered the most. He was beaten, forced to his knees, and had a gun held to his head. The police were literally just around the corner. Unfortunately, we had no chance to film what happened. This is all we were able to catch on camera.
Estoy diciendo verga, suelta la cámara, bájate a la verga. Dame la cámara, no le toques nada, no le toques nada.
Yeah, I'm okay. A little bit of blood, and my lips is going to be swollen.
They asked for our IDs. It felt like they were good. I mean, they were very, very aggressive, and they were like using their guns all the time, not shooting. Praise God, not shooting, but we were scared, and we could really feel this other side of all this relaxed beauty which is around us.
Same thing in Culiacan. You can feel that any minute, any moment, anywhere, doesn't really matter. Like today was daylight. I mean, you are not expecting anything, but that's the situation. We live with that. Just the way it is, man. I know Culiacan is a peaceful place, looks so nice. You think it's hard to believe that something might happen there, but it does happen.
Crosses commemorating the dead are everywhere in Culiacan. Every year, thousands die in clashes between drug cartels or in gunfights with government forces. This cross is one of the most prominent. There are always fresh flowers here. Cartel members bring them for their former boss, El Chapo, probably the most notorious drug lord of our time. In 2008, his son, Edgar Guzman Lopez, was shot dead on this very spot. Countless other men were killed in reprisal.
Whenever someone is killed, his family just build a cross in the same spot where he was killed, because it is believed that if they don't do that, the spirit of the deceased will be just, roaming the city with no peace. So they put crosses. And as you can tell, we can drive across the city and you're gonna see a lot of crosses. It's like a hidden cemetery, Culiacan, crosses everywhere. And now the scary thing is these crosses are used now as a reference. Like, let's meet in this place. You know where the son of El Chapo was killed? Yeah, well, I'll meet you there. Or you know where El Gallero was killed? Yeah, let's meet you there.
Jesus Alberto Ruiz Quintero, if I'm saying the name of this person correctly. This man was killed here a few years ago during the shooting which was happening over there. He was trying to save his children who were together with him in the car, and he was backing up and he was shot this moment.
Así es, esto ocurrió el 9 de diciembre del 2008. El 9 de diciembre de 2008, yo recuerdo fue como a las 2:40, 2:50 de la tarde. Se suscitó una balacera comenzando en esta área, en este lugar, entre bandas rivales. En esta balacera, pues fallecieron gente inocente, hubo gente con daños colaterales, como en mi caso, que yo salí herido. A mí me tocó en otro lugar más para allá. Igual, si quieren, podemos ir ahorita para...
¿Qué te pasó?
A mí me pasó que me dieron 2 disparos.
¿2 balazos?
Dos con AK-47 o cuerno de chivo.
¿Dónde?
Aquí me lo dieron aquí. Aquí entró uno, por acá entró el otro y salieron por acá. Me pusieron 68 puntadas para poder cerrar ahí.
Wow.
Y pues era una explosión que yo me veía y se veía el hueso, se veía todo así.
Estuvo fuerte eso.
Sí, muy fuerte, la verdad. A la camioneta que yo traía le dieron 12 balazos.
12 balazos.
12 balazos.
The day after talking to Carlos, who'd been shot in the leg, we happened to be nearby when someone else was killed. We arrived immediately after the police.
You know, I've been trying to gather some information, and I just spoke with this officer, and he was telling me the person that was killed was a traffic officer. He was driving his patrol, and then something happened with another driver. So the other driver just, they got into this argument. They argued for some reason. We don't know what was that. But then he just hit the patrol with his pickup, and he make a call. And then a group of like 10 people, armed people, came and execute the traffic officer. If even the police isn't safe, because you know that happened to them, what can we expect as a, you know, as normal citizens? I mean, we live here, but you know, we're not safe. I don't feel safe, to be honest with you, because for what I heard, it just happened. And I go like, hey, what about you guys? Don't you get together? No, they are more powerful than us. They have more power than us.
This is Columbus town in Ohio. I'm here for just one day to see a concert featuring several popular bands, all playing a style known as narcocorrido. They perform romantic ballads extolling the virtues of dealing in drugs, owning guns and heavy weapons, riding in cool cars, and hanging out with pretty girls. What a life indeed! However, the songs seldom mention how short a life like that can be. In Mexico's Sinaloa state, the public performance of such songs has been outlawed. According to the state government, there is already enough violence without narcocorrido glorifying it. In the USA, though, narcocorrido is still legal. There are so many Americans of Mexican descent that these concerts draw crowds of hundreds upon thousands.
Something you grow up with.
So it reminds you of your childhood in a way?
It's real. It's pretty much real life. It's pretty much real life for you. If you're from Mexico, so.
Todo México que ha pensado ser narco, nada más yo, sino todo México, como saben que es una vida, es difícil ser narcotraficante y más que nada saber sobrevivir sobre cada persona que quiere ser narcotraficante.
Si no estuvieras tan chula te olvidaba, opa, regresa la misma, pásame el tren de tu coche, traigas otro 24, porque pienso emborracharme. Arriba Nayarit, pariente.
Do you think it's bad to be a narco?
I don't think it's bad at all. I think it's a way of life. I think being a narco is like getting up every day and going to work 9 to 5, except being a narco, you're riding around in a pickup truck with a bulletproof vest and a radio on with it.
Do you think American states are very interested in drugs?
I don't think they are. America's more interested in terrorism these days. And terrorism isn't the threat. The heroin is.
The top narcocorrido stars can afford the lifestyle of a real drug dealer. They've got it all: money, fame, and women. But it's wise to be cautious in romance. Good-looking girls have been known to hook up with popular singers, even if they were already with a drug cartel member. Such love triangles usually end badly, with both lovers dead. Many young women are buried here at the Jardines del Humay cemetery. Many could have been beauty queens or top models. This tomb holds the remains of a woman who was once a notorious drug lord's mistress. He was arrested in Holland in 2013. His lover was murdered the following day. Why and by whom is anybody's guess.
I dare you, and I dare anyone. You can ask any random person in this city, and they're gonna tell you, they all are gonna tell you. So, you know, sooner or later, they have lost a loved one because of violence. I dare you, we can ask anyone, we can ask him, we can ask anyone, we can go downtown, and we can ask.
Yeah, let's ask. Can we ask that guy?
Disculpa, ¿te puedo hacer una pregunta? Ellos vienen de la televisión rusa y ellos están haciendo un trabajo sobre narcotráfico. Y le digo que en esta ciudad todo el mundo ha perdido a un amigo o a un familiar. ¿Tú has perdido a un familiar o un amigo?
Sí, bastante. Sí, me ha tocado verlo.
He has lost a loved one. ¿Has sido tú víctima? ¿Has perdido un amigo, un familiar?
Sí.
Sí. ¿Hace mucho?
Hace poco se murió un amigo.
You know, not long ago, a friend of him was killed. Because, you know,
his friend was killed?
Yeah, and I dare you, I can dare you, we can ask anyone, and every single person will tell you the same thing. And it's because of violence. Is this worth it? I mean, you know the answer, we all know the answer. Muchas gracias, amigo. Le agradezco.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Mi amigo. Sí. Lo mataron. La mafia.
Many people say and believe that God is love.
Oh.
God is love. Yeah, do you think so as well?
Dios es amor. Sí, Dios es amor. Dios, fíjate bien que te voy a decir. Dios nos quiere a todos. Sí, lo que no quiere es lo que hacemos. ¿Sí entiendes eso?
So it's like whatever you give, that's what you get, right?
Ajá, así es.
Muchas gracias.
Lo que siembras cultivas.
All right.
Yeah.
Muchas gracias.
That's it. Finish.